Lads, welcome to Season 2 of the Havre Creator Cast. This is the podcast where you will get to meet your favorite creators behind the camera and get a little bit of insight into how they're able to deal with getting around the algorithms and the modern day social media platforms to get their growth. So without further ado, today's guest is going to be Golden Nova Yu-Gi-Oh! I've had him on before. Absolutely fantastic guy, but he has grown so much since the last time I had him on, I figured it was only fitting to do another episode. So, let's just go ahead and jump straight in today. All right, so I guess let's go ahead and jump into things then. Like I said, I know I've already had you on the podcast before, and you're definitely a significantly bigger channel than I am, but just for people that don't know you, want to give yourself a quick introduction just onto who you are, like what kind of content you make, stuff like that.
Yeah, my name is Golden Nova Yu-Gi-Oh! I focus on Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically making archetype introductions. The Explain series is usually about covering all the cards in a particular archetype, letting you know some basic level interactions. That way you can take that information and go off and learn some more advanced stuff. If you find an archetype that just kind of gets under your skin a little, just gives you a little bug bite, and it's like I gotta play this. Earthbounds are so stupid, but I gotta play them.
I mean, hey, Earthbound just got new support, so they very well could end up being stupid.
God. The Harmonious Synchro Fusion is going to be the part of like 20 different FTKs, and I cannot wait for people to come up with that stuff.
It's such an interesting card, and I actually just had it pointed out to me this morning that it does not properly summon the monsters, it just special summons them from the extra deck. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks, but I'm sure there's still cases where it'll come up.
Oh yeah, for sure. What is it like? You're not going to be able to draw off of Stardust Charge Warrior? Oh no, dang.
Right. No, honestly, what I'm worried about is that fusion monster just being able to add any field spell, and then if you leave it on board, just blowing up your opponent's stuff is going to be nuts.
Why is it that they decided that terraforming needs to be at 1, and then they just kept printing effects that are like, okay, but any field spell's fine. Go ahead and pick them up. Draco
Right.
Slayers, Earthbound Servants. You know what? Cloudians, go ahead and have one. It's all yours.
Right. Well, and on top of that, now Ancient Fairy Dragon is back. So yeah. It's like, this is just the perfect calamity of just terrible stuff.
It's Field Spell City out there, folks. If you are not playing AFD Turbo, then you are actually just playing suboptimal Yu-Gi-Oh!
Little do you know, it was literally just meant to be Vsauce Starfrost support, just going through all the different field spells to add multiple copies of Vsauce.
Someone pointed it out to me that if you could normal summon Alistair, get Vsauce on the board elsewise, and then use that thing to make double Mechaba Barone. Yeah. I'm like, shut up, you people are out here.
No, I think that was I saw that tweet actually. I know the account, I know the person, I just can't remember their name right now.
That
sucks.
I'm gonna be thinking about that all day now. It's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a multi-card combo, but hey, if it works, getting 3 negates, nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not.
Oh, man. So, honestly, I don't remember where your channel was at the last time we did this. I want to say you were somewhere around the ballpark of like 20k subs, if I remember correctly.
Oh, you said it was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was December of 2021.
December of 2021. Let's go ahead and open up the forever information.
See, I wish I remembered like listening to the episode and to see if I heard like the account at the time, but I know either way, like your growth has been insanely substantial since then. You're sitting at 53,000 right now. It looks like that is just crazy.
Yeah, I have been blessed with a continuous stream of awareness from people that I have. I don't know how to still give my thanks to the people who show up and be all like, yeah, this guy's saying stuff into a microphone for about a half hour is kind of cool. I guess I can follow him.
Right. Well, and right now you got a goal going on. I know you missed your goal for April, but if I remember right, you have a goal for hitting 56,000 this month. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the idea. I finally harnessed the power of shorts. So I'm going to be trying to make a lot more of those. People really like the lore shorts, so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Shorts are in an odd place. They can do some stuff, or they can just totally flop. It's really weird.
I literally had that happen. I don't know if you saw my tweets about it. but I was doing, like, a couple of lore shorts, and then I decided, like, I wanted to do a stitch. Is that what they call it in TikTok where you, like, do
Oh
something
yeah,
off of
yeah,
someone's Yeah, I don't
yeah.
YouTube doesn't have a functionality for that one, so I had to, like, download the video and do it. Because someone made, like, a Venn diagram video, and I'm like, "Oh, this looks really funny." Like, it's like the Albaz
Oh
symbol. Let me do the Albaz joke.
yeah, I
And then
did see that one. That got a good chuckle out of me. But then I was like, I want to see the original one, and then I watched the original one, and I'm like, I don't know the point they were trying to make here.
like from a mathematics standpoint, it is kind of not mathematic. That's not what a Venn diagram is. But like from a structural standpoint, I felt like it was kind of interesting. But like looking at the analytics for the video, it does the usual thing where it kind of like spikes up really early as shorts do. But unlike the other ones, it immediately just like flatlines like an hour after I post it. And I'm like,
You know, that's one of
you
the weird things about like this super short form content is that it's like it's all about attention spans, and it's not really evergreen content. It's really you just put it out to get that immediate attention and use it to boost other stuff. It's really awkward, and I've noticed that a lot. And I don't think YouTube really takes in the same algorithm as TikTok does, because TikTok, they go through, if I remember right, they like test your video in an audience, and then depending on how it does with like that smaller group of an audience, it'll then push it to more people in that realm. Um, and from what I've heard with TikTok, they have like a love algo, so they'll give you more content based on the things you're already enjoying. Whereas like YouTube and other social media platforms like that, they tend to have different algorithms that are like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. They're almost kind of divisive in a way. Like they're gonna put things out to you that are gonna make you feel differently. You know, you're gonna look at it, and I mean, sometimes you might be angry, upset, you know, whatever, like stuff that you're not really looking for, and it's kind of interesting. They do still
hmm.
have that algorithm where it's like, oh, if you're watching this type of content, we're gonna push more of this type to you, but they also kind of sprinkle in that other stuff, and it's like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, they go about it in different ways to elicit like certain kinds of reactions.
Yeah,
That's funky.
it's very interesting, but yeah, I know that I'm also pretty sure that last time we talked, you were really only doing explain videos, but I've noticed you've started dipping your hands into a lot of other content. Like, of course, you've had the Prog Poll series going on for a while. I've been meaning to try to keep up with that. It looks like a fun time. Man, I need more time on my hands.
To be fair, I am asking people to sit down and just watch us be little gremlins for like an hour, and that's not always something that you can fit into your schedule.
I mean, hey, there's worse people I could watch being gremlins. I think you two definitely are entertaining. Once again, I just need to find that time to sit down and just binge it all. But and then I see you've also, it looks like you've been doing some stream highlights too. Is that just kind of like just for fun sort of thing?
I'm trying to branch out a bit more with that. It's not super successful at the moment, but something that I've had to learn is that uh like the first 5 or 10 videos of any given project are just gonna flatline no matter what. After having done explain videos for the better part of 3 years now, it is kind of like the pigeonhole that I've put myself into. So going outside of that zone doesn't elicit like immediate reactions like the other ones do. Um, so hopefully that goes somewhere. I noticed that a lot of
Yeah.
people who are big in the scene right now tend to keep a lot of content going on YouTube because they're doing a lot of Twitch stuff. So I'm doing my best to try to emulate that. We'll see where that goes.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's once you get into a niche like that, it does get really hard to be able to branch out because people see you for that type of content, and then they see you putting out other stuff, and they're like, "Well, what's this?" And there is definitely an adjustment period to it. We even noticed that on Fusion YGO being sub 900 subscribers right now, that some of our content just wasn't really doing that well because it just like wasn't what we were doing before. Like, you know, we've been doing deck profiles and combo tutorials forever, but then we post like a stream highlight and we're lucky if it gets like 20 views within a couple weeks. It's really weird. I did have one that got really lucky. It was just pure timing. I did a stream highlight of me getting hand looped by heroes on Master Duel
Oh,
on the same weekend that Joseph went to a YCS with heroes. So it was just like purely coincidental, and that video just like blew up. And then ever since then, all of our videos have just been doing much better. And it's so weird to see little things like that happen, especially when it's on content that you're like not expecting any views on whatsoever. You're just uploading it because it's funny. But
yeah, the absolute duality of content creation. It does absolutely require like skill and consistency. But sometimes you're just not going to get the same kind of engagement as if the funny YouTube man brings the funny hero deck to a place, and it just so happens to coincide with what you're doing on a different platform without planning anything.
Yeah, no, it was like I even uploaded that video a couple days before the YCS, and then people see Joseph on live, and all of a sudden they're searching for hero stuff, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll take it. Like I saw, like I think I uploaded it on that Thursday or whatever, and that YCS started on Saturday. So I was watching it, and like Saturday morning it had maybe 20 views. I woke up Monday morning and I'm like, oh, I'll just check it out of curiosity. It's at 2,500. I'm like, what? How did that happen? That one caught me by surprise, man. The algorithms are so weird. And honestly, guys, try to figure out your niche. It's something that takes a while. Like, unless you hard stick to making one type of content and praying for it to grow, finding your niche, it takes a lot of testing and a lot of branching out. I mean, you were fortunate enough specifically to have your explain stuff pick up and do well. Like, honestly, I love that series. There's a lot of fun to it. Of course, you crack all the good jokes and the puns all the time, which really helps out a lot with engagement. But just being able to go through everything card by card is not something that a lot of creators are dedicated to doing, especially with the extra effort and stuff that you put into just making it a nice, clean video. I really do appreciate that. I mean, your new editor has been doing a really good job of that as well. What was her name again? I forget.
We've got Great Big Pillock working on just the general stuff. More often than not, you're going to see him working on stuff. If something needs like a higher level of polish, Emily Chan is the one that works on those ones. She has like a bunch of industry experience, so she comes in there with like all kinds of what is it, Da Vinci knowledge, makes like particle effects and stuff. If you've seen the Vanquish Soul episode, she made this whole character select screen for all of the different monsters for every time it goes between them. I was like, that is, I never would have even thought of that, and it was so expertly done, and I'm floored every time she like gets a project back to me.
I was gonna say I did watch that one and it was super impressive, and that's the type of stuff I can do too. It's just a matter of like I don't put the time into it because a lot of the content that I release specifically is just stuff like just get it out before it's dead. But with your explain videos, they're more evergreen content, so being able to put more effort into those is also really nice. And that's honestly, evergreen content is something that's so rare for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. It has to be like pretty much exactly what you're doing or what TGS Anime does, of going over like anime scenes and stuff. It's content that's never going to be irrelevant because there's always an audience for it, and it's not like the cards are just going to stop existing. I mean, yeah, there'll be more cards added and whatnot over time, but that just means that you get like expansion onto the videos you've already done. So
yes, now I get to milk it for more money. Yum, 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 yum.
Right, and that's everyone's ultimate goal. I mean, let's be real. You want to make a living off of this, so. And it seems like you're definitely getting more comfortable in that area as well, because I remember last time you were working on the ramen diet and just kind of making enough to get by, but it seems like you're definitely kind of sitting in a bit of a better spot now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, I'm almost making as much as I would at a real job. It's amazing.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty good, man. I'll give that to you. That's solid.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And then I also see that in terms of like branching out in other content, I see that you're starting to go to like more in-person events more, like maybe not the bigger ones, but I've noticed that you've at least started going to like locals and maybe like a smaller event here or there. Do you ever plan on like doing anything like that on your channel, or are you thinking about just sticking to all the digital cardboard?
One of the test run things I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks is figuring out how to do like vlog stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever fancied myself a good impromptu performer, or just being interesting out in the real world. But you don't know if you don't try. And also part of it is just knowing the equipment. So I've got MomoCon coming up, so that's going to be a good way to test the waters. I'm probably going to go to locals 1 or 2 more times with the equipment to see what I can handle. Yeah, just another cliff that I'm jumping off of and hoping that the wings of Icarus don't fail me this time.
Hey man, I think that'd be totally cool. If you need any advice on like equipment or anything, man, I am your guy. Like I'm decently versed in editing, but my most practiced was in the gear and in like the preparation phases of production. So if you need any help in that regard, you just let me know. If you need advice for equipment, how to use it, whatever.
You've made the criminal mistake of offering help with that one. Your DMs will never be the same.
Hey man, that's how I like it. I get lonely some days, so I'll take it. Nobody appreciates my expertise in this field. Everyone's just like, oh, you're just an editor. I'm like, no, I do other things too. I have a $3,000 camera pointed at me right now. What do you mean?
You're all lying. Give me more credit. Come on.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out the streaming part, but hey, that's a learning curve. That's a curve and a half.
That's a whole different set of skills.
Yeah, it's oh man, learning all the different settings for streaming. Let me tell you, is really annoying.
Good gravy. The lengths I had to go to figure out how to like get 4K output was wild.
Dude, I'm still trying to like just make my 1080p look even better. Like it for some reason on streams, I think it's just YouTube's compression. In all honesty, it just comes out looking like garbage, and I'm like, well, I don't want to edit this, but I can't like record at the same time, otherwise my PC has problems.
Oh
even as
yeah,
good as it is. I'm like, ugh. There's some days I can get away with it, but if it goes over like 45 minutes, then my OBS just crashes.
yeah. I know what
It's
you mean. I
frustrating.
tried to like just get some stream highlights just by grabbing the footage off of like Twitch. Yeah, their compression ain't much better. It was like watching everything through a layer of just thick soup.
Yep. Enjoy your grain, nerd.
Come over here, Granny's got you a nice serving of the funny Twitch person. Would you like some Joel?
Oh, the Joel meme never gets old.
I hate the Joel meme so much.
I mean, there's like variations of it now, so at least there's something. People are starting to branch off a little bit.
Oh well, thank God evolution has taken its toll here.
Yes, now on Distant Coder's channel, instead of spinning fish, you have spinning corn.
Oh wow, we're real. Oh yeah, never mind. You know what? Evolution was a mistake. Get a. I don't know. Now I don't know the name anymore. I thought I was gonna get like the P Man, the guy that crossbred all the P's, and be all like, we need to get him canceled or something. But
Oh
now I'm just
boy.
gonna have the sound clip of me saying P Man. So
Nobody take that out of context and make it a YouTube short.
yeah,
Please.
definitely don't do that. Definitely do not clip it and then post it to twitch.tv. Definitely don't tag me in it. Definitely don't send me to the gallows for it.
Oh man. So I guess in all this, so you have two editors working for you right now. I mean, that's already pretty good. Does that's gonna help free up your hands a lot, I imagine.
You know what? I always thought that would be the case. It's actually even busier than it's ever been now.
Does it just like get you to focus more on the other part of it, or do you still have to touch the editing programs from time to time?
I still have to focus I still have to edit prog polls by myself, especially
Ah,
now that I've gotten to the point where I make sure that like we record it on like the weekend, then it goes out publicly on Monday. So I can't just send it over to an editor and be all like, hey, get this done in like 2 hours so I can
oh,
get it done for patrons and then have it release. So that's still something that I have to do by
yeah,
myself. For things that I don't edit myself, that stuff still needs to be done a week in advance so I can send them all the assets so that they have time to do it. Because unfortunately, I don't have enough money to pay people full time to work editing for me. So they have their own like life obligations that this all has to work around.
yeah,
So I'm always working like a week in advance on stuff. And if anything comes up I don't expect, then that just ruins the schedule. I have to pull all nighters like writing and stuff. And then now that I've added like 3 times a week Twitch streaming, that's a huge drain as well.
fair enough. And for those of you that don't know, I did edit for Nova for a while, and unfortunately, life obligations is kind of the biggest reason that I ended up having to stop doing it too. I hated having to leave. It was fun doing those videos, but I wasn't really able to put enough effort into them to feel happy about, giving it to Nova. Like, sure, you would say it was good enough, but I would look at it and just be like, there's so much I could have done with this. And I felt bad every time. I just didn't have the time to put in that effort.
Dude, that is a sentiment that I have heard from every creative person everywhere. So no worries, you're all good. I get that.
Yeah.
I sometimes I'll like rewatch like older episodes of stuff and be all like, man, what was I thinking? I could do this 80 times better now.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely it's something.
But you are right. I would say that they were good because they are. Your professionalism and your impromptu-ness were always appreciated. So thank you very much for all your hard work on the channel. I'm not going to thank you for not disclosing that at the beginning. So now nepotism is in play.
All right, you know what? That's fair. Hey, at least I got my scrap explained, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think you did rescue Ace already, didn't you?
Yes, we've got that
Okay.
taken care of.
Okay, so
I cannot.
I can't beg and plead for that one, but that's fine.
Well, when I do the yearly recap of all the support and we get to the absolutely phenomenal updates, I'll make sure that I drag you into the recording booth so I can get your thoughts.
Oh man, those new cards are nuts. I'm
They're
already
so
laughing a lot with them.
good. They're so good.
Honestly, even if they didn't give me preventer, just giving me emergency, I'm happy. But preventer
Emergency's
just
so
sweetens the
stacked.
cake. Emergency
For
is
sure.
insane. But
For sure.
oh man. So obviously like time is one of your biggest enemies because you have, once again, you mentioned you're adding 3 extra Twitch live streams, you're branching out into all this other content, and both of your editors, they, still have other life obligations. It's not a full-time thing yet. What else would you think are like some of the biggest challenges you have to deal with in this field, like with your niche anyways?
Challenges.
Well, I guess I should ask this. Do you find like the writing part of it? Because I know you put a lot of effort into the writing. Is that like challenging to you, or is it just kind of become natural at this point after doing it for so long?
It can depend. There's definitely a lot of points sometimes where certain cards will have similar enough naming where the joke off the top of my head is like, no, I'm sure I've done this like 20 times beforehand. Let me spend another 2 hours labbing out this one joke because I can't like move on to another card before I've done the previous one. I get very
Yeah,
locked into that. So I'll just get stalled on a script for hours sometimes just randomly. But that's like, I think that's always been the case.
yeah,
Because beforehand it was I can't think of anything funny, and nowadays it's like I got to think of something different that's funny. Um, so as far as like making what I normally do, yeah, it's become kind of like a formulaic process at this point. I guess it's really just like trying to expand who I am on this platform, if that makes sense.
hmm,
Um, about a At the beginning of this year or late last year, the Discord got together and started going like, okay, which things has Nova not talked about yet? And they labbed it out. And explained videos are only going to be able to go until like mid 2024 at best.
oh wow,
So yeah, at that point, archetypes will be all caught up. I'll be a repository of information across the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! All 10,000 plus cards. But now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do at that point, right? Um, and I still haven't found like a thing outside of explained that does consistent numbers like it does. And it's honestly a little bit frustrating. I know that's
yeah,
like the platform, like that's an issue that everyone faces on the platform. I don't want to be on here and be all like, I am uniquely being bullied by the YouTube algorithm kind of deal. Um, but it can feel disheartening whenever you branch out and try new projects. And your 50,000 subscriber channel gets a video that can barely get 1,000 views over the course of a week. It's rough. It can be rough sometimes.
yeah. No, I definitely feel that. That is honestly one of like the bigger struggles is like when you want to launch new stuff, you're trying to prepare for having to switch out of a certain type of content into something new. It's definitely hard to like make that adjustment. It's a very time consuming thing, and it takes a lot out of you, especially if you're relying on this as your full-time job. Like you can't just cut cold turkey on what's actually making you the money. You have to like find a way to be able to do what you're doing and then also implement new stuff to try to branch over into that to make like a seamless transition. But it almost never ends up being seamless from what I've seen.
It doesn't seem that way. Yeah.
Oh
Um.
man.
Yeah. Why?
Now
Yeah.
be
The
real
only
with
thing I
me.
could. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Be real with me. How many hours do you spend looking at lore for these explained videos?
Gosh, if it's a thing that's like the actual lore, like Albaz and Vsauce stuff, I'm in the tank. Um, the issue that I find is that there's not a good centralized location for people to lab out information because half the time it's people who are more interested in correcting each other and being the one who knows it than actually compiling information that's actually relevant. Um, so it does take a while to like sift through everything, like hours and hours and hours. And that's on top of like actual real world um references that this stuff
Mm.
draws from. Like it wasn't until like episode 8 or 9 of the Albaz lore where Scarlon reached out and was like, "Hey, did you know that all of this is based on the Book of Revelations?" And I'm like, "Are you what?" And it is. It's wild.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like she called half the stuff in like the last 2 sets purely by bringing up, yeah, actually, Bucephalus is the name of Alexander the Great's horse, and they reference a white horse in the Book of Revelations, so that means that we're gonna have some kind of extra thing on there later, and there it was. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah,
That's crazy. Honestly, when it comes to lore, Yu-Gi-Oh players and Yu-Gi-Oh fanatics are like the biggest conspiracy theorists I think I've ever seen. It's just crazy. The lines that people will go down trying to explain stuff and be like, "No, guys, it totally makes sense." And you're looking at it, you're like, you're looking for a piece of hay and a pile of needles. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that Konami just really does not want to give us concrete details at all. There are of course the master guides, but you have to be someone who's willing to go through the Wikipedia pages. I'm not even the person that has to sit down and hunt that stuff out and translate it. What hope does your average Yu-Gi-Oh player have of understanding the Albaz lore? The joke answer is going to Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube.com/Golden Yu-Gi-Oh! And watching all those lore videos. But in the broader scope of things, you know, how are you going to tell that Lulu Walilith was actually Fleur after like 3 stages of being despified?
Yeah, it's all very very interesting, and it's yeah, it blows my mind.
Yeah. So when
Honestly, I
someone
think
says to me like, actually, Quiritus is actually a Springan, because it is a modified suit of armor that's being possessed by something, it's like I can't even blame you for going off of these tangents because like, yeah, kind of got the themes going. It's not
yeah,
correct, but props to you for analyzing the information and making connections. But you
right.
are you are right. We do be connecting the points when there is no connection.
Honestly, I think Konami should just start doing what Magic does and just start releasing like small booklets alongside these sets for lore and stuff. I think that would be really cool.
Konami,
Give us a clear, concrete path on the lore so we can understand stuff.
look, Konami, I know you have writers who write this stuff. Like, you need to have at least lore people internally. You have people that write the master guide stuff. So I get you have people that you can hire. Hire me. I will write them. Gimme. Just tell me what to do, and I'll put it out there. Please.
Konami having writers, that's major copium. They can't even write a ban list.
But don't. But they can tell you that Vanadium Prime Heart does have some defensive abilities.
Oh, and what was the new one that made Farfa cry yesterday? It was
Vicious Extra Loud, who's always
yeah.
making a dramatic appearance.
Dude, that like the timing on that was perfect. He's like, the ban list will come out at this time, and then it's just Vicious Astroloud.
Golly.
I died, but oh man. People are wild. People are definitely wild, but it is what it is. So I guess continuing on here, what kind of mistakes do you see yourself or other kind of similar-ish? I mean, you're kind of like one of the only ones in this niche, but like other kind of similar-ish channels, what kind of mistakes do you see them making that you'd like to see improved in the community?
Oh wow.
Yeah, tougher question. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, tougher question. I honestly really don't know about a lot of other people. The issue that I run into is not having the time to watch my contemporaries work a lot of the time. Because I'm mostly in the lab writing scripts all day, so that doesn't really help my ability to watch videos.
Hmm.
Mistakes that I make. I'm sure there's like a million mistakes. I'm
I was
sure
gonna
I
say,
just
I
don't
know
have the.
you're like super introspective, so I know that you probably have like a million answers for this. But
Um,
I mean, yeah, take your time on it if you need to. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah, for sure. I'm by no means an expert in this one, because my particular series on it isn't exactly popping off. But I've seen a few of my contemporaries doing their own like special challenge runs for Yu-Gi-Oh, different variations on it. Uh, and one of the big mistakes is that they have a big gameplay section, but they don't like cut out a lot of the dead air that's going on in there. Um,
Oh my god, dead air is the worst.
yeah, and that's a natural part of dueling, you know. If you're trying to win, you're gonna sit there and think of like what you want to do to like win, but those are not interesting places for viewers to watch. So you can't just slap in gameplay footage of you and your friend playing and then expect that to be engaging. You have to make sure that you're actually going through, and it's a tedious ass process. I have to do this every week. Um, but you have to sit through like the hour and a half footage of you and your opponent playing, and then cutting out parts that just, at the very least, parts where you're not talking. Maybe the witty banter where nothing is actually happening, but you two are talking. Maybe that's the draw for the audience. But you just can't have nothing happening.
Yeah, no, like honestly, getting rid of that dead space, just cutting and editing is like one of the easiest things that you can do in editing, and so many people just skip over it. That is such a valid point. Honestly, I didn't even realize it, but yeah, no, I notice it all the time. It's honestly just people not putting any effort into editing their videos at all. Like, I understand it if it's something like a market watch that just needs to go out immediately because it literally could be invalid in like the next couple hours.
Oh yeah.
But with stuff like a deck profile or a combo tutorial, at least put a little bit of effort in, cut out that dead air, you know, don't include the transitions of you going between your scenes and stuff like that. Like, clean it up a little bit. Just a touch. Honestly, I think my biggest thing with people is over explaining. And I'm not this, it's not for you at all, because you keep pretty concise to your stuff a lot and you only include the information that's needed. But oh my god, watching deck profiles and people talk on one card for 5 minutes about all the different interactions it has, it's like, okay, we get it. It's an interactive card. It's a fun card. It's good for the deck. You literally could have summarized this in less than 3 sentences, been done with it in 30 seconds, and moved on.
It is my secret goal that I think I thought of this when I first started it, but I haven't like really kept it in the front of my mind. I think the secret goal would be like, all right, here's my deck profile. If you want to know what these cards actually do, go ahead and watch Golden Nova, link in the top right here. But anyway, here's how that plays out. I think that'd be really funny. But yeah, I think that some people take way too long on stuff. I think you should, at the very least, make your own separate primer video on the deck if you're going to explain what the cards do. That way we can just get to how the deck functions, and you have more time to explain non-intuitive type things like how certain combo lines would work, or interactions against certain people, or what your God, I don't think a lot of people do like the sighting guide on things, and I would love to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, that like ends up being very format dependent and also dependent on your deck. But with profiles, what I started doing for a while, and I probably should try to do it again because I think it was actually pretty helpful, is to help with the short attention spans of players. I would literally just go through the card by card, do no explanations. I'd be like, all right, 3 copies of this, 2 of this, just keep going on, so on and so forth until it was done. I would start at the beginning of the video. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go over, or I'm going to show you the cards that I'm playing. And at the end of it, if you're interested, I'm going to include a section where I explain the cards in the deck, how they interact together, and just kind of give like brief summaries on why I chose what I chose. But that way, people that just want the list can go in there and get the list and be done. And then people who want to learn the deck more in depth, they'd have the end of the video to be able to go watch that and kind of get a feel for it. Now, what I've been doing is I've just been keeping my explanations on the cards very short and then doing a separate combo tutorial so people can see it in practice how they go together. But I think a combination of the two actually might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely. The one deck profile that like I felt elevated the medium, but he couldn't do any more of them because he has to deal with life stuff. Was the Red Dragon Archfiend one that King Scarlet did a while ago? Like
Oh,
that was ridiculous. Have you seen that one?
I don't think I actually have. I've been meaning to watch more of Scarlet for a while. I catch his videos every now and then on TikTok and whatnot, but I just usually I see like a 2-minute video, and most of the times when I'm watching a video, I'm invested in something that's more like 10 plus minutes. So seeing his stuff, I'm like, well, I don't want to watch a new video or watch this video and then have to go find another one to watch right after. But
Dude, it was
actually,
like
no.
15 or 20-minute long deck profile, but it had like this cool like overlay where you could see a table of contents on the side. There was like a little info bracket too for like side stuff that didn't like flow with the actual talky bit. It was very scripted, lots of cool camera angles on there. I wish we had more deck profiles like that. King Scarlet really hit it out of the park and then immediately stopped making them because he just couldn't do more of them.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch that one because like I've been trying to find ways to be creative with deck profiles, and like the way that I started out doing them, people probably don't really know this all that much, but when I was on my original channel, the Havre Card Man, I didn't have a lot of physical cardboard, so I was doing everything on like Dueling Book or EDO Pro. So what I would do instead of doing a physical card deck profile is I would literally just do a voiceover talking about the deck, and then on screen I would like animate the cards as they were coming in. I'd be like, if I played 3 copies of it, I'd show 3 copies on screen. And eventually I started branching out and including a list on the side, so that way people that didn't want to watch the card by card could just skip to a point and they'd see like, okay, this section had these cards, next section had these cards, and they could just get like a quick glimpse of it and be gone. But that stuff took so much effort. So now I'm back to just like point a camera, record the profile, cut out the bad bits, throw in good music, throw in maybe like a couple small animations here and there. But for the most part, I don't put as much effort into them anymore. And I mean, they've still been doing good, but I feel like just branching out and doing something more creative with the deck profile could kind of like shake things up a little bit, because everyone just does the whole, point the camera, or if you're doing like the interview style, you're pointing the camera at the cards, pointing it up at the person, back at the cards. Those profiles always bother me. I hate that so much, but you got to fight with short attention spans. So that's like our biggest enemy right now.
God, I think that is my biggest roadblock right now. I do not think I know how to like make content for a modern audience. I think I'm still stuck in like the early 2000s, like long form video review, the age of the reviewer type stuff, as it were. I do not know how to keep up with the 2 million memes that come out every like other hour. I have yet to say the word yoinky sploinky in a video. I'm just out of here. Yeah, on your channel, I'm farming out all this free stuff to you.
Clip it, lads. He's done it. He did it.
So yeah, I think retroactively that's one of my biggest issues, is I don't know how to adapt to today's audience. I think I've latched on to a bunch of yesteryears. Thank God.
Every time I go through Fusion YGO's analytics, it's so funny to me because like I think it's starting to branch out a little bit now, but for a while it was only people in the like 25 to like 30 something range. I think. Let me double check.
Yeah, now you got me curious too. 1 second.
Where did it go? Okay, I know I've been like, I haven't really been paying as much attention. Okay, yeah, so 25 to 34 years. For a while, that was 100% of our audience. So like Pat is always keeping his content evergreen. He's like, keeping swearing and stuff out of it, making it kid friendly because he wants it to be content that his kids can end up watching later, just in case. But when we were at 100% 25 to 34 year olds, I was just letting everything drop, dude. There was no filter whatsoever. If you ever come to one of my live streams, I'm a sailor. I apologize in advance. When it comes to like structured content and stuff like this, I try to keep it a bit more clean and filtered. But when it comes to me just chilling out live streaming, there's no hold barred. No bars held.
I mean, what are they gonna say? They're 34. Oh no, my ears. Oh no.
Right. Well, now we're starting to get some more 18 to 24 year olds, but nothing younger than that, and barely any over the 34-year-old range. So it's kind of funny. I mean, that's a fun analytic to watch. It does help you end up actually kind of figuring out how your channel is operating, like what type of audience you have, so you can cater to them a bit better. But it is interesting. Also, for those of you listening right now, only 6% of the people that watch our channel are subscribed. So
oh my God, button. Do not do that.
I had to.
No, that is my big pet peeve for people. I'm gonna be honest.
I actually don't think I've ever seen it get that low on percentage. That's crazy. 6%. That's scary, dude. That's scary.
It means that the algorithm is showing your stuff outside your audience. That's good.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of new people that just aren't subscribing. You guys are lacking. Oh, it is what it is. We've still seen really good growth this past couple of months, so I'm not mad about it whatsoever. I just had to get a laugh.
Hell yeah,
It
hell
was
yeah.
worth it.
And I had to reprimand you, you know, as is the polite thing to do as your guest.
It's as old a tale as the what does Pot of Greed do. So
now that's always funny. That is legitimately, that will never stop being funny. Joel,
I love that one.
Pot of Greed, mwah.
Yep. There's so many Yu-Gi-Oh memes that are just like they just never die, and there's people that get sick of them, but I never do. I love them all.
Yeah, they won't die because Primeheart has defensive abilities that help keep them safe in combat.
Oh man, I literally pulled the definition of the Yu-Gi-Oh players can't read meme last night. It was so bad. Somebody was asking for a ruling question in one of my buddy's live stream chats, and I was like, "Hold on 1 second, I got you." I looked at the card that they were asking about. I read the first sentence and I said, "No, this doesn't work." And then somebody else was like, "No, yes, it does." And I read it again and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't read the second half of the card. Yeah, it totally works." It was so bad. I'm like, bro.
Havre literally went up to someone and be all like, "Don't worry, I have encyclopedic knowledge of all of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I can actually read the first
I know how this interaction works. Like, there's no way I'm wrong about this." And then I read the card again. I'm like, "Oh, that's the effect they were asking about." Oh. Just casually embarrassing myself in front of 40 people. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll just go back to my corner. Ignore me.
All right, I'll see you later. All right, guys. Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.
So considering everything we've talked about, dealing with short attention spans and like having to branch out into different content because you're finding out that the Explain series has a lifeline on it. If you had to start your channel over, what do you think you would do differently? Or would you do anything differently even?
I would talk about video games.
Oh, you go for the essay channel. Oh, you just go straight for the video games.
Because like I'm already kind of doing that now.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things that I would like to do is be like the oh my god, I'm already messing up names. The Noah Caldwell Gervais of Yu-Gi-Oh, but there's like just not enough to do a 4-hour video about Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment.
I could prove you wrong.
So fair enough.
I don't think I will, but I could.
I've always really admired the people in the Magic the Gathering space. I end up watching a lot of their videos. People like Spice 8 Rack and Ristic Studies make just these phenomenal video essays about the game and the world around the cards. That if I had to start over but make like Yu-Gi-Oh content, I would really want to try and push for like doing that. And hopefully I can do something like that in the future. Maybe not as like my primary content, but I would love to make an essay deep diving into a certain aspect of the game. But aside from that, video games are like my one big passion. I guess I would just say gaming in general is my passion. I love this. I love video games. I love tabletop games. If it's got a wacky rule set and people can sit down and have a fun time, it is definitely something that I'm into. So finding games to talk about in long form video content would be something that I would love to do given the chance.
So now, if you end up making it bigger on this channel, do you think you might branch off to do a second channel around that, maybe?
I actually already have it started. I think it was like last year for my birthday. I treated myself to making a video about Legend of Dragoon. So that exists out there. No one's watched it because it's like my first try at it, and like no one even watched. Like I posted it on that channel, and then I also posted it on my channel, and it didn't do well on either of them. It's definitely very amateur. I was trying to keep to a schedule, and I don't know how to capture footage well, and it looks terrible. But I've like started the process, and that's the important part. So,
yo, guys, new Nova Lore just dropped. What? I didn't know this. I would have to find that second channel now. You're gonna have to link me that later.
Yeah, sounds good. I think that is another one of my like issues. I don't know how to market myself at all.
Marketing is like one of the toughest things that I've found. Like I've been trying so many different methods and researching so much for years. And it's like, there's no concrete way to do it. You just got to throw stuff out there and see what sticks. It's tedious.
Oh boy. And that's my favorite part. I'm not doing tedious stuff working on editing. No.
I was gonna say, honestly, all I've been doing lately, I haven't really been doing much marketing other than putting out like a single tweet, being like, "Hey, here's a video, you nerds." But I mean, lately, given that I've been doing stuff that's like prevalent to what's going on, just riding those trends, that's been like the best thing for me. But of course, in your situation, it's definitely hard to do since your videos do take so much more time and effort. You can't just be like, "Oh, hey, these new cards drop, but I'll just drop an explained video today to coincide with that." You have to wait like a week at least, if not two. So that definitely toughens things up. But
Yeah, that is definitely what I feel is like closer to my niche here. I do want to talk about things as soon as they come out, but I also don't want to do like what was it when Genesis Impactors was coming out. I covered Drytron's like 2 weeks before the full reveal set came out, and then like 3 other cards dropped for it. So ever since then, I'm like, I can't talk about anything until the entire set list comes out. But then, yeah, that puts me behind the 8 ball because everyone else has already talked about it, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Right. Well, and people don't go as in depth as you do, or as like well done as you do. But yeah, they've already gotten their point across. So people are like, "Oh, we're looking at these cards again." No thanks. It definitely is like something that people will watch like 1 or 2 videos on something and they'll be like, "Okay, I have all the information I need. I'm never watching another video on this again." And it's like that you're missing so much.
Folks, come on.
Like I can't tell you how many different Rescue Ace videos I've been through just to like see different opinions and stuff on it. Cause like there's always different perspectives. You know, you can't just watch one and be like, "Ah, this is all there is. This is all I need."
It turns out that in a game where making your own deck can be an expression of your capabilities, watching one person talk about it doesn't get you the whole picture.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is your guys' notice right now, though, to just watch Nova's explain videos. He goes through all the cards, talks about them all, gives you interactions with them. That's all you need. This is the only perspective you need. That's what I say.
Exactly. And when you're done with that, go watch progression polls right now. That is an order.
Yes, have yourself a good laugh.
Watch me and Noah Jenk not know how card interactions go. I'm begging you. Please validate my effort.
Do you guys have a judge for that, or do you just kind of Google stuff as it comes up?
Oh, we Google things as they come up, and that always does not work. I think we literally just had an issue this last episode where we thought that 9-volt misses timing off of being summoned by Microcell if it was summoned during the battle phase, because we thought that the additional draw off of Microcell caused the when effect to miss timing.
Oh man, if only I was available when you guys were doing that stuff, I'd happily be a judge.
Are you up early on Saturday and Sundays?
I am, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then I get ready for a random call this weekend, buddy.
Wait, what time? What central time do you guys usually start?
Central is like 10.
Oh, do you call that early?
It's early for
I'm
some
up
people.
At 6 a.m.
It on a weekend, it's early for most people.
Sleep is for the week.
What am I saying? Okay. So does 9-volt miss timing when summoned via Microcell?
Okay, so it was 9-volt, and what was the card that's summoning it?
Batteryman Microcell.
Microcell, and you said during the battle phase.
Yeah.
Oops, if I can spell micro. Batteryman Microcell. Okay, let's take a look here. Special summon 1 level 4 lower Batteryman from your deck. After this card has been flipped face up, it is destroyed by. So those are going to be 2 separate chains. So the flip happens during damage calculation before the monster is actually destroyed. It's just marked for destruction. So you would summon the Batteryman from your deck first. That chain finishes resolving. Then you could activate the 9-volt, since that does not miss timing at that point. That was the last thing to happen in that chain as long as there was nothing else activated before that. So you would be able to get the 9-volt off, and then after that you go to end of damage calculation. The Microcell dies, and then you get to draw a card.
Oh, sick! I picked up a really easy game off of him not understanding that.
Yeah, no, you definitely would get that. So you'd be able to add the Batteryman off of 9-volt, and then afterwards, after all that finishes resolving, you go to the end of battle or end of damage step. Microcell dies, then you get to draw one.
All right.
It's a very weird interaction. I'm not a perfect judge by any means, but hey, any opportunity to learn, I will take.
Hell yeah. I am going to say that I think Noah Jenk is justified in not understanding the deep battery man lines
Oh, that's
in
such a weird
2023.
interaction. Anything that deals with like battle phase and damage step stuff is obnoxious. I have barely scraped by on my knowledge of that, and hopefully I have enough that I can become an RC1 judge soon. We'll see.
Ooh.
I'm trying for it. I want to have an actual official tournament store here. Nobody else is wanting to be a judge, so I'm like, hell, heck it, I'll do it, and we'll get an OTS going on.
Yes, 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 yes.
God, do I even have any other stuff? Hold on. Oh, here we go. So, continuing forward before I get ranting too far, because I'm very well known for that, and I know you can get chatty sometimes too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, since you've been making content full time for a while now, how has it impacted your confidence level as just like a person, as a creator, however be it?
I think I'm currently on like the low end of the bell curve right now, but like on the right side. Because starting out, it's like, oh, okay. I don't know what I'm doing here. I guess I'm gonna throw this stuff out here. And then as it kept going, there was more and more encouragement. People were finding me. People were shouting me out and things. And I'm like, oh, this is really great. This is awesome. I guess maybe I can do this. But then we've gotten to this point where the increase in exposure has also increased the amount of people who are the well, actually kind of people who just will not shut up about things that
Oh,
either are just minor nitpicks that don't matter or are just flat out wrong, but they think they're wrong.
man,
Or
I
they
get
think
so
they're right,
many of
but they're just
those.
actually wrong. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm
Oh
on like
man.
that end where like so many of those people are showing up now, and it's like, man, I think maybe I might actually suck, and I fluked into all of this.
Oh man, I could definitely tell you you don't suck. I get a lot of those comments lately on like now that I've been doing news videos. I'll talk about cards and I'll get people in the comments like, "Well, actually, this is a really good card for this reason." And I'm like,
Oh my
"You're
god.
talking about a very rogue at best interaction that's not going to see any meta relevant play." It's like, why would you go into the Salamangreat Synchro Monster when update access is right there? There's no reason.
Yeah. Like
There's a lot of those people and it sucks, but it's yeah, you just kind of have to ignore them as sad as it is.
and I hate that because like one of the things that I love doing is like sitting in comments and watch people talk about things and share their own personal perspective on things. And like sometimes those comments that are just like rude and not helpful can, with just a little bit of workshopping, turn into a hey, this is cool that you talked about that. I noticed that X, Y, and Z, and maybe you can think about maybe you could experiment with this point. You know, it becomes something that you're like inviting them to be a part of. You're not like saying, actually, you're wrong. I'm shutting you out, and you really shouldn't have made this in the first place. And your existence and this content's existence is a blight on humanity, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, and that's really extreme. Individual people aren't exactly like aiming to do that, but I think people don't understand that they are part of a amalgam when you're talking in a comment section.
Right.
So any amount of just making sure that what you say is like removes the rough edges really does help.
Yeah, so there's a tip for you guys in the comments. If you're gonna make a well actually comment, at least make it constructive. Don't just make it like shutting out the discussion. Leave it open for other people to be able to be like, well, I mean, I see your point, but there's this, and actually make it a discussion, not just a oh I'm right, you're wrong type of thing.
Yeah, just something like that, please. I'm begging you folks.
Yeah, man, that honestly that is not an answer I expected. Like, obviously, getting that huge exposure that you ended up getting, being high up on the bell curve as you were talking about, getting that huge confidence boost. I totally understand that, but I guess after a while, yeah, you start to see more of that audience that's just gonna like downplay everything you do, and after a while, the whole exhilaration, the adrenaline of all that exposure kind of starts to wear off a bit. So that totally makes sense. You kind of start to stagnate and flatline a little bit and start getting lower on that bell curve. That
Yeah,
that
it's
is
like
actually a really good answer. I did not expect that at all.
yeah, it's like it's not the Overton window because that's specifically for politics, but there is like this psychological like terminology that talks about how like you might move to like one end of an extreme of a situation, but if you're in there long enough, that becomes your new norm that you check everything else up against. So like the Nova that existed 3 years ago would be floored by all the things that Nova now is doing, but because the human brain is wired weird, the Nova now is like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I guess this is cool and all, but I can't hit 30,000 views on a single video, so really, why do I even do this?" kind of deal. Which is a rough thing to square against because then it feels like you're being really ungrateful for where you have come and where the audience has helped you get to. Which is why I do my best to try and make sure that I know that the human mind is a little wonky, not put together the best. Um,
Yep.
but I also don't want to just deny that it exists because I think that's where it gets toxic. You have to understand that you're not going to feel okay all the time. No matter how successful you are, everyone's going to feel a lot of times that they're like not enough. So I think it's
Oh yeah.
important to acknowledge when you feel that way, but also acknowledge that that feeling could be temporary and that it's not like a long-term one.
Yep. No, life will always hit you at the most unexpected points. Even when you think at your highest, you'll feel like you're at your lowest, and that is definitely something that a lot of people deal with on a daily basis, and it is hard to overcome. But yeah, you really do just have to kind of keep yourself in that mindset, like, hey, I do feel like this now, but it's not going to be this way forever.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh man. So I guess
Yeah,
given
I'm already saying stuff like that because I really do feel like I'm being like, oh, big YouTube man complaining that he's too successful kind of deal.
no, I totally people will dog on that for any reason whatsoever. Like as soon as you start seeing success, there's people that will they'll find a way to nitpick everything, and it sucks.
Yar.
So given we'll kind of start to wrap things up a little bit here because we are kind of hitting close to that hour mark. I don't want to keep it too long. So, given the discussion that we just had about the comments affecting your confidence and all that, how do you feel overall about the Yu-Gi-Oh community? Do you think it's like mostly that way? Is there enough of the good people? Is there like an overwhelming amount? How do you think it is?
I think that it is something that's not unique to us. There are a lot of people who really are just here to sit down, enjoy some stuff about their favorite card game, be part of a community of people that makes them feel like they belong. Um, for whatever reason, there are people out there who feel like they need to be toxic, whether because they feel like something is lacking or they're projecting something, and they can get really loud. But you could say that about comics or video games or baking or automotive repair. If there's a big enough community, there's going to be people for that. I am confident that in the in the macro, the people who are mean and loud are almost non-existent. They just put in a lot of effort to make you know that they do not like you. Which is why it's always so heartening to see people uh talking about how they enjoy stuff. I think, and I fall into this too, where if I'm enjoying something, it's a very passive experience, and I move on to the next thing, not because it's like I don't care. I'm just in like a euphoric mindset, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Let's see another thing. Um, so hearing people encouraging you, no matter what stage of the person that you are watching, it literally means the world to us
Oh
because
yeah.
that's like any good encouragement is one voice that helps counteract another guy who felt like they knew the live twin combo better kind of deal.
Oh yes. No, there's definitely a lot to be said. There is a much back and forth in the community. I feel, at least from what I've seen, there's a lot of people who are really nice and encouraging, and also there are quite a few of those bad apples. But I do have to agree with you. I think that the bad apples are really few and far between. They're just so loud that it's all we can hear.
Yeah. And that is coming from the cis white guy in the community. I do not have a proper frame of mind for the kinds of bullshit that people of color or women or trans people have to deal with in this community. So for any voice that is being mean to me, those voices are 10 times worse for them. And I always want to make sure to highlight that if you want to be a positive voice for the community, make sure that you are showing up for them because they desperately need people in their corner in communities like these.
Wholly agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of hate going around. Be the positive change in the world, guys. All it takes is just one nice comment.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I don't. I thought I was gonna have a lot more to say about it, but no, yeah. If you are happy that someone has helped enrich your day, do your best to try to send that positivity to them because it literally can just turn the day around.
And actually, that's something I might start doing again. I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing positivity threads of just like shouting people out and being like, "Hey, these guys are the goat. Share your friends and stuff in the comments and whatnot." And they went on for some pretty good chains for a while. I might have to start doing those again. I think the community is probably due for more stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
So,
Um, and just to like make sure that like we get a full spread of the examples, it can be a positivity thread, it can be like a comment on their video about something you really liked about it. If they stream, just pop in and say like, hey, thank you for this X, Y, and Z. Like whenever someone shows up to my streams and they're all like, hey, I didn't know you streamed, I enjoyed your lore videos, I'm elated, I'm over the moon. So
oh yeah.
it's yeah, it's man, I keep finding words to say that make it sound like the whole it's free kind of thing. Like you should be obligated to do it because it doesn't cost you anything, which isn't true. It costs you your time. And I speak from personal experience where just even saying a positive thing can feel awkward, especially in where I'm at now, because now I feel like I'm always grifting for like other people's attention. Like I'm trying to billboard on their stuff.
Hmm.
But like hopefully you are not, or you might not be a person who's trying to build an online following and you might not have those kinds of anxieties. You might have a different kind of anxiety altogether. But really I think that most of us are going to be happy to see an encouraging comment or a chat or something. Uh I don't think any of us are going like, "Oh my gosh, uh fish lover 67 here is trying to get my attention again," kind of thing. It's like, no.
Right.
We love seeing that stuff.
All right. So before we get on to the final question here, guys, be sure to go follow Nova on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Join the Discord. I don't think I missed anything. Was that all of it?
That's about it. I think my Patreon, go ahead and go to the
Oh,
Patreon.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. You've probably heard
Give
this a
this
million
man
times
all
from
of your
other people.
money.
I'm sure you've heard this from a whole bunch of other creators. But literally, if your person that you like gets money from Patreon primarily and not YouTube's ad revenue, it turns out that they don't complain about the algorithm as much because they don't have to care about it. And then they can make more stuff that you like. So, that's a long-term goal. And if you want to see more lore stuff, that's a great way to get me to focus more on that instead of explain stuff.
Yep. And I'll make sure to link all this stuff down in the description for you guys so you'll have easy access to be able to find all this stuff. There's no excuses. If you haven't watched Nova, go check him out. Worth it. So last question here, just a very quick one. Doesn't need to be like super in depth or anything. Just generic. What advice would you like to give to up and coming creators?
Find something that you can do that is consistent that also doesn't burn you out. Um, I got my start doing explained video, or rather, I got started doing explained videos because I had to find something that would get me in people's subscription and recommended feeds on a consistent basis. Talking about archetypes, there's a wealth of them, so it was relatively easy to make a script and get a video out about twice a week. Um, and by doing that consistently for like 2 years, I was able to get a following. By doing that in hopefully an entertaining manner. So if you are trying to get started, try not to get focused on what your big project is going to be. If you are someone who wants to make entertainment, especially in ever changing environments like card game spaces, finding something that you can do like twice a week consistently that you feel you're good at is good. If you are someone who wants to make long form video essay stuff, then Do your best to try and figure out a way to communicate with audiences in the interim. But if you're making videos along my end, finding something that you can do, uh, hopefully without expending a lot of energy, but is still fun to make and watch, is a good starting point. And then build off from there.
I'm starting to think you knew that question was coming.
I have been asked that every time I've been on an interview place.
You know, that's fair. It's a pretty generic and open-ended question, but hey, it leads to a lot of good lines of discussion, and I think all your points were pretty dang relevant. And guys, he's someone that knows what he's talking about. He is up there. He is doing this literally full time. So definitely something to consider. I mean, the burnout thing was one of the biggest things that I skipped over in my early days. I was just trying to pump out content left and right, just being on that grind all day, every day. But it really is a marathon, not a sprint, guys. You really got to pace yourselves, know your limits, and be able to work within those limits.
Yeah, I think the only person that I know who was in this community that got like a huge following out of the gate was like Ruggles. But like even they didn't just start out in Yu-Gi-Oh! They had a whole other channel that was like at 100K before they even touched it. So they came onto the scene with like high-end production value. They already had an understanding of making video content.
Right.
So you cannot break out onto the scene and get an immediate following unless you have some amazing amount of like technical hardware and software and know-how coming out of the gate. Be ready to make ground level stuff that is going to look like ass starting out, but as long as you are having fun with it and you do your best to try and entertain people with your personality or any skills that you have on hand, eventually, and eventually could be a very long time, measured in months or years, you can get there.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that kind of rapid growth is very, very rare. It's definitely going to be a long grind game. I mean, I did find one guy here in the last couple of weeks that has already lapped me in subscribers, impressively enough, after being here for like 2 months. And all he does is just daily market watch content. So it's like either you have to grind out forever or you have to really know exactly what you're doing and be in a space where that kind of growth is possible. But it's like very specific areas of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're just doing deck profiles and comment tutorials and stuff, you're probably not going to be seeing that kind of rapid growth. That's going to be something you're going to be grinding a while for. So just be ready to work for a while. Don't be in it for just a short term. Be ready for the long haul if you really want to go for that.
Yep.
All right, my man. Well, I think that's all I had today. It's been fun as always. I'm always humbled to have you on the podcast. It's been a super good time. A lot of in-depth discussion. I really appreciate all your input on all this stuff.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm always happy to hear my own voice and give my life experience. And I'm always happy to sit across from you, my amicable friend who always seems to have a question that are insightful. I know how to speak. Questions that are insightful, and I have fun answering them.
Yeah, man, it's a good time. And hey, you're the first guest back on season 2 of the Havre Creator Cast, so that's always a good time. Happy to say that.
And now I sit here on the throne waiting for the next guest to unseat me. Will they have the prowess and power to do so? Find out on the Havercast, episode 2 of season 2, when the brass runs gold.
Oh my. Thank you for that outro. All right, lads, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, Nova, thank you for joining. Guys, don't forget to check him out. All links down in the description. I better see you all there. You guys have a good one, and as always, remember, good fun. Have luck.